This morning we're talking tech. Find out what it's all about. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Horry-Georgetown Reading Room at the Elizabeth Maddox Chapin Library on the Grand Strand campus of Horry-Georgetown Technical College. We're focused on the kickoff of the fall semester, the later part of this month, and we're visiting with the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs, Greg Thompson. Good morning,
Hey,
Greg.
Good to see you.
Early in the morning, they were kind enough. Thank you for letting us in.
Hey,
We've enjoyed
we're glad to have you guys.
being here all this week, and I know all week they've opened the library at 7:45, so there's kind of a rush that's coming in here as we're wrapping up the filming each morning. It's been great being here.
It's a popular facility, and one of the great things about this library and all of our libraries across the college is that they are public libraries.
Yes.
So the public does come in early, late,
Right.
to utilize the internet resources to reference any of the materials. So they're a popular destination.
Absolutely. I think Monday through Thursday, through yesterday, it's open till 8:45, 7:45 to 8:45, so a good 13-hour day there. Today, I think it closes at 12:30. The college closed a little early on Fridays.
Just a little early on Fridays.
Right. Very exciting. I tell you, the whole crew that's been here all week long, very professional staff. And on Wednesday, Dr. John Charles, the head of medical affairs at Grand Strand, was with us. He walked in, and there's a portrait on the wall that his mother had done of Elizabeth Maddox Chapin. What a beautiful building, and such an easy location for folks to find.
And there's such tremendous history, not only in this facility, but the entire property.
Right.
Obviously, former Air Force Base. In fact, this building was the Officers Club.
Right.
And so we've tried to, the college has attempted in our utilization of these properties to preserve as much of the history as possible, and we really appreciate the heritage of the property and the facilities, and obviously the Chapin Foundation. And other partners throughout the area who have contributed to maintaining the names and just really making it a wonderful treasure for the community.
Speaking of heritage, I need to highlight, on Wednesday, of course, John walks in, sees the portrait on the wall there that his mother had done of Miss Chapin there. Yesterday, Bob Gray was with us talking about, and he is the president of the South Atlantic Shrine Association. 55,000 members in the South Atlantic Shrine. Of course, his father, I believe, was the first chairman of the board of Horry-Georgetown Technical College Commission.
That would be Mr. Phil, that's right.
I think he said at the time it was Horry-Georgetown and Marion counties.
Horry-Georgetown, Marion, Georgetown Technical Education Center.
Is that right?
The business cards were written on 2x4s.
It was great having Bob in, and he's got some tremendous stories to share. And then, interestingly, on Monday, another great Horry-Georgetown Tech tie-in, Pete Crawford, was with us, and the Grand Strand chapter, the Horry-Georgetown Technical chapter of the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Clubs is right next door in the building
next door. We have a great relationship with them, and Horry-Georgetown Technical College is one of those institutions that reaches farther than anyone knows, not just academically and in the workforce preparation that we do for students, but in the connections we have with business and industry and philanthropy throughout the area. You're familiar with that, obviously, through our foundation board.
Absolutely.
And I'm proud to be part of that organization.
And physically, and I'm glad you mentioned that, here in the library is immediately adjacent to the foundation, Horry-Georgetown Technical College Foundation, and in there that beautiful conference room that the Montrose family had donated. And you think about folks, and you never know who's going to find out about how valuable Horry-Georgetown Technical College is to the community. The Montrose family there, the husband-wife who'd retired to the area, found out about tech and really made this a place that they were going to commit because they knew the commitment that the college was making to the community.
Well, and that's exactly, that's the correct terminology, the impact that we have on the community. Our graduates of Horry-Georgetown Technical College may not necessarily become CEOs. Some will. Some will become doctors and hold various positions of prestige. We now have, for the first time, We actually have members of our South Carolina General Assembly who are graduates of the college. So we're starting to form those kinds of networks. However, the reality is that our public safety first responders, our hospital staffing, our nurses, our doctors, our teachers' assistants, the people who really make the area work, technicians, IT experts, the list goes on and on, HVAC contractors, people working in the construction industry, those are our graduates. And as we know, if you look at the industry, tourism, if you look at the construction industry in Horry County, obviously the healthcare industry, we like to think and truly believe we are foundational to the success of those industries in this area.
Absolutely.
And you know, we believe we put we're the force behind the workforce, as we like to say.
I've never heard that, Greg. That's great. We should also be saying that, the force behind the workforce.
Right.
That's a brilliant line.
Well, I appreciate that.
Did you coin that?
I don't know if I did or not, or we probably said it in some meeting or some conversation, but that's who we are. We are the entry and mid-level worker preparation institution here, whether through continuing education or through our curriculum programs of study. 70 programs of study.
Wow, 7-0?
7-0. It's certificates, associate degree, and diploma programs, and of course our continuing education program that has a wide variety of corporate and customized training options. So we stay very, very busy.
That's amazing, Greg. You know, we think about so many of those aspects, and speaking of that, end of this month, is it August 27th?
August 27th.
That's the big day coming up on a Monday. If a viewer needs to get off to work now or get out of the house, what's a good number for someone to call to learn about admission opportunities, whether it's for their loved one, for themselves, even one of their children, if there's an opportunity for them to still sign up before August 27th? And do you all have a website?
We absolutely do. Our website, www.hgtc.edu, hgtc.edu. And in fact, they can apply online, they can register for classes online. We're trying to make those services as accessible as possible. They can call. Our general admissions number is 843-349-5277.
Right.
They can call the Grand Strand campus, 477-0808. This is where we're sitting. That's the general number, and they'll direct them accordingly. Of course, they can walk in at any location. Those are all convenient here in Myrtle Beach, Conway on 501, and then also Georgetown, about 2 miles south of downtown Georgetown.
Very easy to find, close to the airport down there.
That's right.
The airport there in Georgetown. It's a critical location, and think of the impact that Horry-Georgetown Technical College makes on Georgetown County.
Yes, absolutely.
And really helping to provide the force behind the workforce of some major institutions there in that county, as well as here in Horry. You know, we think about, for you, Greg, having been, I think you shared that in September you will have been with the college, how long now?
10 years.
10 years. 10 tremendous. Years. Are they doing something big? You don't know what they're doing to plan to prepare for the...
It'll be just another day, but it'll be a busy day. But I feel privileged to have worked at Horry-Georgetown. I'm a Conway native. I'm a local boy all my life, and well, as you know, I'm also in ministry. And I said this, and this is so true. Working in that technical community college environment is as close to doing ministry as I've ever seen as doing actual ministry itself, because we're not just affecting people's earning potential. We're affecting the future course of their lives and the future course of their children's lives and their families' lives. And we, every day, hear unique and wonderful stories of people who have totally been turned around by their experience and their interaction with Horry-Georgetown. And I'm proud to be part of that.
Great point. Speaking of another big anniversary later this month, we're celebrating 156 columns, or 3 years continuously of columns in the Myrtle Beach Herald, and our show's sponsor. You see the Myrtle Beach Herald there. We've got a Herald
Shameless
there.
plug.
That's exactly right. And of course, so oftentimes, today's Friday, August 3rd, last Thursday, you know, when your column came out 8 days ago, there was a fascinating column in there. You opened up with a family connection, one of your children, and a chocolate bar. For viewers who may not have seen in the stands, they can go online, of course, to faithtakesroot.com, which I believe redirects to the Herald and your columns there. And it goes back. You've been doing this now 3 years.
I love to write. I am by background, by craft, was a writer. I guess I still am to some degree. Some may debate that after reading the column, but I've enjoyed that opportunity, and it's a great creative outlet for me. And the best stories are those that are true stories that come out of life. So I write a lot about my family.
Oh yeah, sure.
3 kids, 11, 9, and 5. You don't have to look far to find an example of something brilliant in God's creation when you look at children.
Is your wife involved, ever helping you with some of the columns there, give some spurning ideas there?
She does.
She stay back, yeah.
She is a great critic, and I mean that in the positive sense of the word. And I did, in fact, one time she did a guest column.
Is that right?
She did. It's probably been 2 years ago.
A couple years,
Greg, or even longer. And she delighted in that opportunity and did a great job. But she's a sounding board.
Yes.
A sounding board for me.
Absolutely. I think you mentioned recently, Greg, I've noticed that your email address at the end of the columns, I know our focus is, of course, on your new position, which you just took over a couple of weeks ago as Associate VP for Student Affairs, and obviously a big push here, August 27th, the big date, the kickoff of the fall semester.
Right.
But I noticed your email address at the end of the columns has changed recently to greg@findredemption.com, which is exciting. What's that all about?
In addition to my work at the college, I'm also worship pastor at Redemption Church in Conway. So it's a brand new church.
Great.
We are a very biblically basic in our approach. We utilizing the book of Acts as the sole roadmap for how we do church, and we see church as a verb as opposed to a noun. Mm-hmm. We believe that we're called to be the people of God, and in fact, just this past weekend, the last weekend of July, we were out at the Horry County Shelter Home on that Sunday. Every month where there are 5 Sundays, instead of taking that 5th Sunday and having a Sunday service, we do a service Sunday. And we physically went out to the Horry County Shelter Home that Sunday as a whole congregation, and we did repair work on the houses. We did a cookout and played games with the kids and the staff.
Tremendous.
And it's just it's in the fiber of who we are as Redemption Church and as believers to just have the heart of Christ and loving people with our actions and with our lives, and I am just absolutely loving it.
That is tremendous, Greg. Yeah,
it's been a great call in my life.
And being involved to help form a church, to found a church there in Conway, in your hometown.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Exciting. Yeah, sure.
It's a lot of work, but we just want to. There's no question God has called us to it, and we're just relying on Him. And our focus too, Greg, that's a little bit different. We intentionally don't pursue initiatives that are going to necessarily grow our specific church. We want to grow God's kingdom. Let Him worry about growing the church. So we want to support other churches and other ministries. And as people come into us and they say, I'm here, I want to do work, I want to be involved, I want to volunteer, what do you want me to do?
Right.
We turn the question around and say, well, what does God want you to do? And how do we support you in that effort? So that's what I believe we're called to do and who we're called to be, and you can probably tell I'm rather energized about
I love it, absolutely. The Energizer Bunny both there, and that's not just a Sunday gig. I mean, obviously, when you're not in the college, you are putting on your worship pastor hat.
That's right.
And finding ways, and I'm sure if there wasn't a church and state separation issue, you'd probably be wearing that hat here. But I tell you, that same kind of impression, as I walked out of the library one of the earlier days this week and walked over into your bookstore, the Barnes & Noble here, there's a gal wearing a "How May I Help You" t-shirt, big t-shirt, and it's that same kind of mentality. When you have folks that enter a Redemption Church there and saying, what can I do to help? I'm sure as Christians they're doing much what this young lady there in the bookstore is trying to do. Provide that servant leadership.
Absolutely. And one of the things, one of the challenges I take here as in this role that I'm playing as Associate VP for Student Affairs is really redoubling our efforts to be excellent in the service that we provide, not just to students, but to each other, to our colleagues. And much of my time over these first couple of weeks in this position has been just restating that vision that we want to be the best. We want to set the standards. Our students, for the most part, are not the typical college students.